please join me in our nation's pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome, folks, to the annual State of the City Address. I'm honored tonight to introduce our keynote speaker, a good friend and our mayor of the city of Oviedo. I had the pleasure of serving with Dominic for well over 2/3 of my career in the public safety fire department, the last 15 as fire chief. We served together in natural disasters and good days as well. It was always honored to have his leadership and his influence. Dominic has always strived to keep our community well informed. Much of what you see tonight continues on day to day. We're kind of the envy of Central Florida by what he does out there day in and day out. Really works hard using social media. It's one of the main tools, but gosh, I see these at every school event, everything that you can imagine. He's all over town. He's always sharing the good news of the city, all the hard work of all the department directors and all the staff and the things to come. So tonight, we're going to hear some very interesting news and different topics of our future. Please welcome Mayor Persampiere.
Well, let's get on to the presentation tonight. I'm going to start off with our mission in the city, and we've talked about this before: provide a high quality of life through accessible and sustainable services. That is the mission of the city. And within that, we have our safety and security, economic vitality and development, mobility and transportation, natural built systems, high performance government, community character, recreation, arts, and cultural activities, and of course, number one up at the top, as I mentioned, is safety and security. I mean, public safety is the biggest thing that we do here at the city. This is what drives all the decisions that are brought to the city council to make by staff each and every time. And those of you who look at our agenda will see at the bottom of each agenda item how that agenda item meets one of these goals. And staff does a terrific job of making sure that they keep us all on track as we move forward. So Brian, again, thank you to you and your team. Population is now almost 40,000 in the city of Oviedo. Now that's just in the city limits. That doesn't count everybody else who lives in unincorporated, or as everybody who follows me on social media knows, you know you live in the city if you have big blue and green garbage cans. So 40,000 people live in the city of Oviedo. I mean, to put that in perspective, back in 87 or so, right, Alafaya Woods, before it started, it was about 3,000. So 32 years, we've grown to almost 40,000. Millage rate in the city is 5.2820. That's your total millage rate. That's actually a lower millage rate than it was just back in 2005. when it was 5.335. So we get a lot of bang for our buck here at the city of Oviedo. Our total budget this year is $67 million. That's about what it's been hovering around each and every year. About 30 million of that is the general fund. General fund is what really funds everything that happens in the city. Public safety, public works, parks and rec is all paid out of general fund money. All the other funds, the other 37 million, that's going to be all the enterprise funds. So those would be your water, your sewer, stormwater fund, things of that nature make up the balance of the budget. Social media, as Chief White mentioned, the city is very active in trying to keep our residents informed, because it's very important that everybody have an understanding and a clear understanding of everything that's going on all the time. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter. I'm not much of a Twitter person. Mobile app. How many folks know that we have a mobile app for your phones? All righty. Those who don't, the mobile app is awesome. You can download the app for Google or Android. It's called Oviedo Connect. And on Apple, you have to download Civic Mobile and then set it up for Oviedo, because Apple can never make anything easy. But once you do that, you have access to everything that's on the website. But most importantly, what you have access to is a little button called Report a Concern. How many times have you been driving around and you see something and you just get frustrated, right? Who do I call? It could be a sign that's down, it could be a sidewalk that's cracked, it could be anything. If you have that app on your phone, you could take a picture of it, it'll go right to City Hall. From there, it'll be sent to the proper department to go out and address for you. It is absolutely great. So if you haven't downloaded the app, please go download the app. It makes staff's life so much easier than calling City Hall and telling them. Just send it in, and they'll go out there and take care of it. Energy initiatives. These are becoming very, very important, not only in the city, but just in our society. And the city of Oviedo is committed to a sustainable future. We've adopted a resolution for the PACE program. The PACE program allows you to take out a low-interest loan on your home and pay for it through your tax bill. So if you wanted to put solar panels, update your windows, new roofs, I believe, some new roofs will qualify for it, you're able to do it with this program and then just add it onto your tax bill each and every year. So it is a program that's available. We have adopted a resolution, the entire city council, of setting the goal of 100% use of renewable energy for all city operations by 2050. And that was actually brought to us by a city resident, Megan McCullum. I don't see her in the audience tonight, is she? No, I don't see Megan. Megan brought that idea to us 9 months ago, a year ago maybe, and we put it into action. We also just adopted resolution supporting the Seminole County Solar Co-op. Seminole County has put together another solar co-op where if you're considering solar for your home, you can get the buying power of 30 or 40 folks all installing it at the same time. And I believe there's information on our website about that perhaps. Is there a link yet, Tracy? Not yet? The LED streetlights, another energy saving initiative. Last year, as most know, there was a special lighting district put into place, and the purpose of this lighting district was twofold. First issue was to update and upgrade all the lights in the city to a newer energy efficient technology while adding lights into many areas that are dark. The second issue with it was to free up the $500,000 in gas tax money that we were taking, that we were paying for the street lights that we should have been paying to repave roads, using it for road repaving. So what this slide is showing you currently are the lights that are going to be converted in the very near future. And the little yellow dots, I know it might be a little hard to see on the screens, and we apologize. The first to be done is going to be up and down Mitchell Hammock Road, the main Sanctuary Drive, Live Oak Reserve Boulevard is going to be one of the first ones to be done, and the Ion area, which is up by Jackson Heights Middle School. It's going to be one of the first areas to be done. So we're going to selectively roll these lights out over time rather than just flipping a switch to LED. Because what will happen if we do that, LED is a different type of light, they have to be tweaked, they have to be adjusted, so we're going to roll them out in phases. Some of the areas along Mitchell Hammock Road that are dark right now are going to be getting additional poles in the future. Old Lockwood Boulevard will be getting poles, some of the older neighborhoods will be getting more poles and more lights. And the nice part about this fee is that over time, as these installations are completed, that fee will actually come down over time. So it should roll down as time goes on. Duke Energy Park and Plug pilot program. The city of Oviedo was awarded a grant from Duke to install electric vehicle charging stations at City Hall and here at Oviedo on the Park. So as we all know, Tesla is making a big push with electric vehicles, as are many other car manufacturers, and I get made fun of a lot because I drive an electric vehicle. But they are the wave of the future. We have 2 charging stations coming from Duke and a grant that we were just awarded. Plus, we've changed our land development code to encourage construction of electric vehicle charging stations throughout the city in all new developments. So for instance, the Strand has them. You might see them over at Chick-fil-A has them. Cafe Rio, I think, has them. Publix, Marlowe's has one. and there's more coming. So anytime a developer builds a new project, they do have to put in at least one electric vehicle charging station. So again, now it's all just working towards sustainability here in the city. Public arts program. Some may have heard we put together a public arts board about a year and a half ago, with the main focus of bringing public arts into the city. Because what could add more to a quality city than quality art? You see it in Orlando, you see it in other areas. And our public arts board, are there any members here this evening? I don't see any members of the board here this evening. Dr. Correa sits on the board. Was established by ordinance, and we put together our public arts policy, put together the board. Their funding is coming, they can do loans, grants, or public or private donations. The fund currently has about $23,500 in it that's been donated by developers throughout the city. So sometimes when a developer is building something and they might need some mitigation, part of that mitigation can be funding the public arts program. So they've got a nice little fund that they've built up. Their first project is going to be a mural over at Round Lake Park. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. Their next project is going to be a mural right here at Center Lake Park. They're going to go out and commission a mural for us with the artists. It'll all be announced on what they're going to do. They'll go out, they'll get the artists, they'll submit work, and they'll choose the one. The theme is going to be Oviedo postcard for here at Oviedo on the Park. Now, many of you don't know, but many years ago, we did a goal-setting session, and the absolute best Oviedo postcard was done by Mr. Brian Cobb, but I don't think we could put that whole thing up there, but that was a good job, Brian. The mural that is going to be over at Round Lake Park is going to celebrate the Black history of Oviedo, and those are very historical figures from Oviedo's past that are in this mural. And Butler Boston, Prince Boston's in here. So many people are in this, because when you look at the history of Oviedo doesn't start in 1987. I mean, we all realize that, of course. I mean, there are folks who are in this audience tonight, born and raised, whose families were born and raised here. So, I mean, the history of Oviedo is hundreds of years. Round Lake Park. We have many improvements coming out at Round Lake Park through a grant that we received. Probably got that grant about 6 or 8 months ago, maybe a year ago. 3 new tennis courts with pickleball. Pickleball is a big, huge sport. Oh my goodness, I didn't know anything about it until everybody started calling me and asking me, where are our pickleball courts? And I was like, pickle what? I have no idea. But we have it now over at the gymnasium, and we're going to have them out at Round Lake Park. So that is under construction right now. So they're going to renovate the 2 existing tennis courts, build 3 more, renovate the picnic pavilion, add basketball courts, fix the fishing pier that was damaged during the hurricane, LED lighting, of course, throughout, new landscaping, and a hiking trail. So that's all under construction right now. If you go out to Round Lake Park, you'll see it's all kind of dug up, and it's kind of exciting. Oviedo Sports Complex, we got a FERDAP grant for that. Whole bunch of improvements coming out there as well. Field improvements, playground renovation, a trail system, another picnic pavilion being done, more parking. We definitely need more parking out at OSC. If you have anybody who goes out there, children who play baseball or softball, you will know that on a Saturday it is difficult to park there. We park them across the street sometimes over in the Stubbs property. Who went to the Bark Park? Who's been to the Bark Park? Oh, a whole bunch of us. I hope everybody enjoys it. The Bark Park is the new city's dog park. It's over an acre of land. It was done all in-house, all of the work by our Parks and Rec staff. So give them a big round of applause. It's out at Shane Kelly Park, which is on the corner of Lockwood and 419. 426, excuse me, and you enter it off of Lockwood. So if you want to bring your puppy out there, like I said, it's an acre and a half, a little bit more than an acre. It is just incredible. Everything that staff has put into it, and the love and the attention to detail. On grand opening day, there must have been 100 dogs out there just running around having a great time. And the dogs were much better behaved than the adults were in some instances. Twin Rivers Golf Course, this is a great one. As many of you know, or everyone probably knows, we bought the golf course property back in May of 2017. It was a long, protracted, drawn-out affair. Reason for purchasing it was not only to preserve the 300 acres, but to stop a development that would have or could have possibly put another 300 homes onto Lockwood Boulevard. The golf course, when we purchased it, was not in the best of shape. As you can see, the rounds were around 30,000. 2018, so we're less than 2 years into it, the revenue has increased 60%, and the golf course is at operationally just about break even at the end of this year. So in the time that we've owned it, our management company, Down to Earth, because we have a separate management company that runs it for us, has taken it from losing money and being in terrible shape to anybody who's a golfer. I'm not a big golfer, but I hear from them all the time who go out there. They just say how the spectacular condition that the course is in, to almost operationally breaking even, is exceptional. And that land will be in our Parks and Rec program forever and ever and ever. City has applied for a grant to help with some of the purchase price as well. And the grant, I believe, is about $2.5 million. If the grant's awarded, there'll be a conservation easement placed over about half of the golf course. So it'll be forever protected. So we are working diligently on that. Our grant writer has written the grant. It's been submitted. I don't think we've heard anything yet back on it. But hopefully that'll be awarded this year, especially with the new governor, because the new governor is putting that money back into these funds that fund these types of purchases. For many, many years, those funds were swept clean, and the money was used for other items up at the state other than the issues that they should have been used for. So now with the new governor, we're very hopeful that he'll put this funding back into these land buying programs, affordable housing programs. I mean, many programs that were swept clean of money. New governor has given us a lot of hope, so we're going to wait and see. Also, with the golf course, I mean, we're still looking into strategic partners. We've been having conversations with our neighbors to the south, let's just say, and hopefully next year when I stand up here and do this for you, I'll have some great news to report on that, maybe even sooner, but we shall see. Bear country. Seminole County is bear country. How many of you have had a bear in your yard or in your neighborhood? Many of us. I had one come through my yard about, what was that, Deb, about a year ago? Yeah, about a year ago, bear came through our yard, got our bird feeders, mangled it to shreds, took my fence apart. We came home, it looked like a killing field out there. But hey, we live with them. You know, they live amongst us. So what do we have to do? You know, the number one thing that you have to do is you've got to secure our trash, secure our bird feeders. We don't have bird feeders anymore. We took them all in. You got to put your trash out on the morning of pickup, not the night before. Some simple things. But we're working right now with Seminole County and Florida Fish and Wildlife to add portions of eastern Seminole County into what they call their urban bear management program. And they have that currently over in the Wekiva area. The county commission is taking this up as a discussion item at their next meeting, which is this coming Tuesday, I believe. And FWC is going to give them the updated data on just how many bear sightings there are out on this side of the county. Now, it's not something that we wanted to take on just by ourselves because bears know no boundaries. So if we pass an ordinance here just in the city that, you know, may put this into effect for Twin Rivers, Live Oak, Riverside, the eastern part of town, all we're going to do is push them into Chiliota, push them into Caroline. So FWC wants us to do it really comprehensively and proactively. So hopefully the county commission will agree, and we should have more on this as we start to go forward. The boundary can be, right now they're looking at doing the entire city, just about from the 417 east all the way out into Chiliota is what they're looking at. Only because of the way they map all the sightings, and it's quite amazing with the bears. You know, the population of bears has exploded, the black bear. You know, there's 4,000, 5,000 bears now. And the issue is that a male bear claims a territory of 100 square miles, up to. So when you take that many bears and that many miles, and the fact that we run right along the river, you can understand why we see mama and 3 cubs in our backyard. And and really they're just like Yogi's up there with his picnic basket. You know, that's what your garbage is to them. It's just an easy pickings. If the ordinance is put into place, what would we require? It's going to be that your refuge, as I said earlier, has to be secured at all times. It's got to be in a trash can. It's got to be put out until after 5 p.m. on your pickup day. Your garbage cans have to come back in by 8 o'clock. Other bear attractants, as I mentioned, bird feeders, pet food, unclean gas grills, fruit trees, you know, things that attract the bears are going to have to be picked up and cleaned up. Now, the ordinance does not have the ability currently as written for us to go out and fine and harass people. That isn't what this is all about. What this is going to be about is education. You know, if something's noticed that isn't right, you know, we'll be giving people warnings, or FWC will. We're going to work that out with Seminole County. Hopefully what this will work into is at some point in time for the areas that have more bears, which is obviously east of Lockwood, perhaps we'll be able to start out there with a bear trash can program. We're talking to Republic right now, our waste hauler, about different ideas in the contract where maybe we can make those cans available to folks. Maybe we can do the entire area and, you know, have something around a couple of dollars a month to pay for the cans. We haven't gotten anywhere near making any decisions. These are just talks that are happening right now. We can also get some grants from the state to help offset the cost of the cans, and I say that because it's very important. There is not enough money from the state to pay for garbage cans, bear-proof cans. The state only allocates about $500,000 a year for the entire state. Cans cost about $225 per can. Just to outfit, say, the sanctuary is about $250,000. It's just not enough money to do it. But we're looking at many different ways. We've got to start here, though. Recycling simplified. There's been some confusion on recycling. You know, our recycling program hasn't changed. What is changing is what the garbage haulers can do with the recycling products, because China is not buying as much of it as they used to. They're hardly buying any of it. Problem with recycling is the contamination that goes into the recycling bin. So while we're being good stewards of putting our recyclables in the blue bin, we're not being good stewards of putting clean recyclables in our blue bins. So there's going to be a whole new education program coming out, and there's some homemade flyers that we just put together real quick for tonight in the back, if you want to grab one, that kind of explains how we can eliminate contamination in the recyclable stream. The bottles, the glass, the plastics that we put in, they've got to be clean before we put them in. Pizza boxes, if they're clean, put them in. If they're all oily, you know, if you really like that New York style pizza, can't go in there. It's just not going to work. So there's going to be a whole new education program coming out on how we're going to recycle, what's going to be in the recycling bins, because the haulers have to have less contamination in order to sell it out on the market. China used to take it with, I forgot what the percentage was, but let's just say 20% contaminant, and now they want 0.5 if they're going to buy it. So that's a hefty, hefty goal. Our community redevelopment area, our CRA, I've talked about this before in the past. Our CRA is an area, a basic rectangle, that runs from about Mitchell Hammock Road, Oviedo Boulevard, over the 434, up through the historic downtown to approximately, let's just say, Magnolia. And then a little portion of it juts over towards Jackson Heights and some of the historic neighborhoods to the east. The CRA is an area where the money, the tax dollars, as the tax base grows in this area, the new growth in tax dollars, 50% of it gets reinvested into that area. So, for instance, when we created the CRA, we froze the tax base at X. And that was about 7 years ago, and then we hit this recession, so X actually dove, but now it's coming back. Oviedo on the Park is the big catalyst for the growth in the tax base for the CRA. This year, the CRA should throw off about $800,000, I think it is, and over the life of the CRA, it's going to throw off about 30 to 35 million. That money will all be reinvested in that rectangle that I just described to you. And things that it will be used for, some of the items we have up there. We have the Wood Street extension. So we're going to have another east-west road from Oviedo on the Park, where the David Weekley homes are, over to 434. So it'll be another way to get in and out of here. The community center downtown, or the senior center, that is in the CRA and can be funded by the CRA, and I'm going to show you a little bit more about that in a moment. Downtown trailhead and connectivity. So we can actually put, because there is a plan to put trails connecting Oviedo on the Park to the historic downtown area, going through the wetlands that are in the back here. These are things that the CRA can pay for. Currently, we have facade grants available for businesses within the historic district downtown, where they can apply for grants to update their facade or their landscaping. Public arts program support, I spoke about that a little bit earlier. The CRA can help fund that. Home rehabilitation program, that one hasn't been passed yet, but it's being discussed, where homes in the CRA that, maybe they're older homes, they can't afford new insulation, new windows, they can't afford to hook up from septic to sewer. These are things that we could do grants for out of the CRA to help those folks, give them a leg up, so to speak. Streetscaping throughout the historic downtown when the road widening program goes into place. And the best part about this, folks, is that this is all new tax dollars that are generated, half of them going into the fund. So it's general fund money that nobody ever had, and Seminole County participates in it with us. So it's 50% of their increment, 50% of our increment. And it's just starting to really kick off now, where there's funds available to do things. One of the things it funds currently is Oviedo on the Park, the actual park that was built, some of these facilities it's been able to fund for us. So everything in that CRA can be funded with the money from the CRA. Traffic. 434 corridor study is underway right now. Seminole County and the state are looking at improving 434 from the Greenway all the way down to Mitchell-Hammock Road. It's being done in 2 phases. The studies are running concurrently, but it's broken into, I should say, 2 projects. The first half of the project is the northern end of town. It'll go from the Greenway to about Vine Street, Magnolia, right around there, Franklin, right in that area. The second phase would be south of that. So it'll be between Mitchell-Hammock and 419, 426. We're waiting to see what the results will be. The preliminary results, obviously, are the road needs to be 4-laned in both directions, just like it is out in Winter Springs. And I can sit here and I can talk about why it wasn't done. I've talked about that in the past. It doesn't matter. That's all water under the bridge. It didn't get done. It has to get done now. So hopefully this will be done in the summertime, and then the county will jump into the PD&E study, which is really the start to widening up the road. We're excited about that. Downtown, 426, 419, the intersection is done. That was done last year. 39 of the 59 parcels to widen 419, 426 from Oviedo High School over to the bowling alley have been acquired. The state is working quickly to acquire the rest of them. Once the right-of-way is all acquired, they'll jump right into construction. So that'll become 4 lanes from the high school out to about the bowling alley, and then phase 3 will be from the bowling alley out to Lockwood. Once that's completed, then we will have that parallel route to Mitchell-Hammock Road. So some of the traffic will actually start to go east-west off of Mitchell-Hammock onto 419, 426. Most of the traffic that travels on Mitchell-Hammock Road east and west each and every day is traffic just coming through. Doesn't mean we don't have to work with it, doesn't mean we don't have to improve the roads to accommodate it. But Brian and I were talking about it earlier. There's an interesting traffic count that just came out of Seminole County. East of Live Oak on 419, so Snow Hill Road, county put traffic counters down. 15,000 cars every morning coming east. 15,000. Because where are they going? They're going to the Greenway. And how are they getting there? Mitchell-Hammock Road. So we have to get 419 and 426 improved, so that way those cars start to go straight. And we get some of the load off of Mitchell-Hammock. And the other funny thing about Mitchell-Hammock Road, and I said this to one of our board members earlier, and I don't think she believed me, but the road isn't quite at capacity. It still has capacity on Mitchell-Hammock Road. I know everybody doesn't believe that, but traffic engineers will tell you that it does. Downtown Stormwater Park Project. This is really going to be tied in with the community center. In the old historic downtown, right by Franklin Street where Citizens Bank is, you probably saw that pond has already been dug up once, twice. Well, we're going to get lucky because we're going to dig it up a third time. And third time's the charm. The third time when it gets dug up, it's going to become a huge pond area for all the natural stormwater from the historic downtown as it redevelops, much like Center Lake right over here is for Oviedo on the Park. That way, as historic downtown redevelops, each parcel won't have to have its own little pond. They'll be able to use the master stormwater and we'll create this great park destiny amenity right in the historic downtown. Now, what's attached to it all is the old post office that we own for the community center. So the only reason why we haven't really dove into renovating that building just yet is we have to wait until we have the final engineering on expanding the pond downtown. Because the funny part is, and I may have talked about this a little bit last year, the state says you can't mix water. Yeah, I know, you can scratch your head. So Sweetwater Creek, that everybody kind of sees meanders through there, has to be rerouted around this retention pond. Can't go into the pond then spill out the other side because it's water, and I guess you can't mix water. I don't know. It probably has something to do with load contaminants or something Bobby Wyatt would get all excited explaining to us. Police Department headquarters, they're still in the analysis. That's all completed. The master planning concepts are being worked on. I think they're about 60% done with plan, concept. We're working on the development of the scope, and that should be coming to the City Council shortly. There should be something under construction, probably not this year, but maybe next year, for the new police department. So that is something that's still being worked on. It's right on the City Hall campus, just to the right of the City Hall building when you go over there. So I know the police department is just, can't wait to get out of the old building. Is that right, Chief? How quickly you took over the bays once we got the fire department out, though. That was quite impressive. How you just moved yourselves right in. Standalone emergency room is coming. Some of you might have heard the announcement from Florida Hospital. That's going to be built just west of Target, out in front of Centricare, and it should be opened in the fall of 2019. Medical City Center, that MedC is right up the road here. They cleared the land. It's on Oviedo Boulevard. It's going to be Class A medical office space. And they have been looking at many different concepts to bring in there, including a nursing college. They still have not given up on that. They're going to build the building in 2 different phases now, rather than building it all at once. So this is the latest renderings that we have from them. Central Square, formerly known as the Albertsons. Everyone sees that under development and redevelopment, I should say. And that is going to be terrific once that is done, because we're all tired of looking at it as the empty old Albertsons. As you can see, there's a lot going on over there. They've torn down the Albertsons building. They took it back, actually about 50, 100 feet, rebuilt some of the facade up in the front. They're going to redo the existing stores that are there. Actually, I drove past it this afternoon, and I noticed most of the storefront is tore off on the existing building. So it's really going to be really special and be make us proud of that corner again instead of looking at it like it is or was. Over here at the Strand, many folks don't know, but along Oviedo Boulevard, the apartments that are there, there's actually office buildings on the ground floor. And those have all just about been leased now. They have a beauty well coming in, they have eye care coming in, they have a doctor, Calitech coming in, something called Pure Bar. I've seen folks getting excited about that on Facebook. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be over there. And then a brow and lash business is coming in. So you're going to start to see the businesses popping up along Oviedo Boulevard, just like we always envisioned happening at Oviedo on the Park. Alrighty, this one's the fun one. Right in the land across the street from Marlowe's. So if you're at Marlowe's, you're looking south towards the lake. That land right next to the Strand, the new owner of all the land here at Oviedo on the Park, because it has changed hands, is building the food factory and the factory bar. The food factory, as you can see, it's going to be an older looking building, big radio tower up on the roof. These are some conceptual designs they have. The owner of the property is from England, and he remembers seeing these radio towers with the signs. So he wants to make it something iconic for over here at Oviedo on the Park. Within this, they are going to have the factory bar, so it'll be a bar in the center, and I have an overhead shot I'll show you in just a moment. They're going to have 6 micro restaurants, family-owned, 800 square foot restaurants all set up for folks to come in and test different concepts. They're going to have inside of the factory bar, they're going to have a couple of takeout windows, so you can go over there and just get some quick food if you want. Then attached to this, they're going to have some businesses on the north end, which I'll show you in just a moment. To the south of this, the Sanford Brewing Company is coming into town. So it's going to really change the dynamic on this side. This is an overhead of what it'll look like. So Marlowe's would be here, is where Marlowe's is. Just to give everybody, I'll come on over here and show everyone. Just to give you a little bit of perspective, Marlowe's is right here. So then going south, you'll have the food factory, the factory bar, the 6 bays, the courtyard, covered seating all the way around, Sanford Brewing Company overlooking the lake, 2-floor building, 2nd floor open patio. So you'll be able to go upstairs, sit outside on a covered patio, look out over the lake. More restaurants coming right here at Oviedo on the Park. So in the food factory, they're going to have something called Dixie Dharma, which is vegan, 100% vegan restaurant. They're going to have the steak Brazilian barbecue in the food factory. Those are the only 2 announcements we have right now. They've got multiple other tenants looking at it, just nothing that we can announce tonight. Out front, on the corner of Oviedo Boulevard and Mitchell Hammock Road, Ford's Garage is coming. I don't know if anybody's ever had the opportunity to visit a Ford's Garage. They've got a lot of them over in Tampa. I think there's one downtown. I drive somewhere in that area. Ford's Garage is based on Ford Motor Company. It's themed that way with all the Model A's and stuff. But it is a full-serve, sit-down restaurant that really specializes in specialty burgers and stuff. But we've been to them. Our kids live out in Wesley Chapel. It is a fun place. The bar top has an ice sled going all the way around it, so when you get your pint, you can keep it cold right on the bar. So it's pretty exciting. They have a barber shop coming out front, Sanford Brewing Company I mentioned. They have a concept coming in called The Pour, right over here at Oviedo on the Park. It's candle making. Wolfgang Bakery for all the four-legged friends. A yoga company. Even more exciting, let me go back a second here, see if I can get back to the site plan. Across the street from this, from the food factory and the factory bar, after they build that, they're going to gravel the lot across the street to use as parking. Also, Ford's Garage, when it gets built out on the corner, we'll have an additional 300 parking spaces. I should have mentioned that. That'll be shared parking throughout Oviedo on the Park. In 2021, though, across the street from the food factory, they're envisioning and working towards something called Breathe, to be a health and wellness center on the ground floor, on that big lot that's right across the way. Second floor, they're envisioning offices. Third, fourth, and fifth floor, they've been actually putting around a whole bunch of different ideas. They had asked about condos. I put a question out on my Facebook page about that. Not rentals, actual condos that could be purchased. With that will come what we've always needed down here at Oviedo on the Park, is the parking garage. It is something that they're planning for. It's something that the CRA can help fund. It'll be a public parking garage to go along with our public lot in the back and create lots of parking down here. Because with all the businesses coming in, we're obviously going to need more parking. Right, Mr. Cobb? Dr. Correa? And the parking garage will be in between the Breathe and the Strand. So it'll be hidden. You won't even see it if it all comes into play. More things coming around town. Over in the Albertson's Plaza, obviously we know we have Sprouts coming in. The only thing that they would let me announce tonight, even though there is more, but I have to respect their wishes, is a restaurant called Belay is coming into town. Evidently, they're over in Winter Park. It's something all the kids like. It's all gluten-free. It's got vegan. It's got fresh dishes. Belay is coming in. Down at Flagler Center, that's across the street from Mission Barbecue and DQ. We've got Dunkin' Donuts and Jimmy John's still coming in. Just opened at the Oviedo Mall is the Oviedo Brewery. Who has been? I've seen some of you there. Come on, raise your hand if you've been to the Oviedo Brewery. There you are. Come on, don't be bashful. I'll raise my hand. I've been there. Hey, Vishal, stand up. Here is the owner of Oviedo Brewery, guys. Vishal. If you haven't been, you got to go. I mean, they're in soft opening right now, but I'll let you in on a little secret. They tapped their first beer that they've brewed at their facility here in Oviedo today, a Hefeweizen, I believe. So they got it flowing on tap, and they're going to be opening their kitchen up shortly. If you were at their Founders Club event, they gave you some samples coming out of the kitchen. Guys, these guys know how to do it. It's, well, I hate to even call it bar food. It's really, it's not brewery or pub food. It's really good food with a twist. Everything's fusion, and it's going to be very exciting when you get that kitchen up and running. Got Metro Diner coming into town, and I put Irish 31 up there because guess what? They actually came down and renewed their permit finally, so we think they're actually coming into Oviedo, and they're going to start building very shortly. Coming in, that's at Stonehill Plaza. Also coming into Stonehill Plaza is a Mexican restaurant in the back called Salsas. Is going to come into town. So it's going to be in the back, that big open patio that they have. So what have we learned tonight? Nobody ever has to cook at home again. Guys, on behalf of the entire council, I just want to say thank you so very much. I mean, it's always a pleasure to come up here and do this. And, you know I run through it sometimes, and I'll stand around, I'll answer any questions the council members are here. But really, it's truly a privilege and a pleasure for all of us to serve. And we serve at your pleasure. And we do it because we love to do it. And we do it so that we can see all of these improvements come into town, see the growth of the city, keep the old world charm as we're growing the new businesses. I mean, that's very important. And sometimes folks lose sight of the fact that there is a plan to do it all. It all just takes time. Other things have to happen before other things happen. When the old historic downtown starts to redevelop, the food factory comes in over here, all of this will start to really, really make sense, even more than it makes sense today. On behalf of the entire City Council, thank you so very much, everybody, for taking time, coming out this evening. Enjoy everything that's Oviedo on the Park, and we'll be around to answer any questions. Thank you, everyone.